Good morning, my dear students, and a very warm welcome to all of you in this e-learning program. Friends, you already know that we are discussing these days chemistry, and today is the last content of the chemistry that we are going to discuss. The lesson that we are going to discuss today is this, the structure of atom, and here is the complete memory map of it. Okay, before, like, I know it may not be visible, and so only it is sent to you. This complete memory map will be sent to you, so please do not worry about the content. If we talk about atom, then first of all the basic thing we need to know is this, the atomic structure. How is the atom actually like? If we talk about the actual appearance of the atom, then actually atom is somewhat something like this. There is a nucleus, and then there are the shells, and in this shells the electrons are rotating. This is how the complete atomic structure is there. Next, if we go further on this content, then this is how the atomic structure is. Now, what is the nucleus containing over here? Over here, the nucleus is containing protons and neutrons. The number of protons and the number of neutrons is different. Moving further, in the extranuclear region, there are electrons that are constantly revolving. Here are the ways by which people tried to explain the structure of atom. Among them, the very first way was this, the Thomson's model. What did the Thomson stated now? The Thomson's model was somewhat something like this. He stated that in any particular atom, the electrons are uniformly spread. Everywhere there is the negative charge that is uniformly spread. And the positive charge is embedded in it. Electrons are uniformly distributed and the positive charge is embedded in it. This was the concept that was given by Sir J.J. Thomson. This is also known as the watermelon model, or it is also called as the plum pudding model. This model was not at all accepted because of some of its lacuna. The important part was regarding the Thomson model. It had its important concept first of all was atom is electrically neutral. That concept was clear, but there were many problems that were associated with the Thomson's model. What was the problem that was associated with the Thomson model? Now, how can it happen that the positive and negative charges are relying together with each other? They will mingle up with each other. So this concept was not explained by the complete model that was given by Sir J.J. Thomson. He couldn't explain that how is it possible that positive in the negative, positive is embedded. Why they don't combine with each other? That was a major drawback of the model that was given by Sir J.J. Thomson. After the concept that was given by Sir J.J. Thomson, then came the next model, that was the Rutherford's model. Now what did Rutherford did? Rutherford first of all, he did the alpha ray scattering experiment on a gold foil. He took a very thin gold foil which had only about 1000 atoms. He took a gold foil. The gold foil was very thin, of about just 0.004 mm. And all the atoms of the gold were arranged. They were arranged to each other and there were electrons that were residing inside them. Sorry, there is the nucleus that was residing inside the atom and the electrons were rotating. Now, what happened in this alpha ray scattering experiment? He took a very thin gold foil about 0.004 mm thickness. That is, it was containing about 1000 atoms of gold. Now, what he did was, he passed alpha rays on this. Okay? So he observed that most of the alpha rays went straight away. But very few deflected at some angles. This is how everything went. Most of the alpha rays went straight away, but very few, that is 1 out of 12,000, rebounded back. Okay, it's tracked with the positive charge. Basically, Rutherford, when he did this experiment, it was totally unexpected from him. He had not expected that alpha rays will rebound just in this small ratio. Because he had not expected this, this was truly like you are throwing a bull, like you are shooting and the bullet is going from the gun. It is, here is the tissue paper and on the bullet, like, will ultimately had to damage the tissue paper, but that wasn't happening. The bullet came back. So it was like that, an unexpected event. So from this he gave many conclusions. First of all, most of the alpha rays went straight away. With this, he stated that an atom is hollow from inside. Next is very few particles they deflected at some angles, and very rarely they deflected at 180 degree. This stated that any atom is having the charge, that is the charge of the alpha particles. That is, that particular thing may have the positive. Okay, so it is having positive charge. This is all about what he stated and what were the outputs that were given by him. Because the alpha rays are positively charged rays, alpha rays are the, you can say, quickly moving helium nuclei. These are He plus 2 ions. So when they are passing and if they are getting rebounded over here, that means at the center of the nucleus there is something which is carrying positive charge. So because there is some fact which is carrying positive charge over here, we can state this. So this is about the complete Rutherford's model. I hope you have understood the content. That is almost all are passing straight and 1 out of 12,000 rebounded back. This suggests that at the center there is some of the positive charge which is relying. Let's move further with this context. This is what we are discussing about. We have already discussed about the Thomson's model, its main features. Coming to the Rutherford's model, he had done the alpha ray scattering experiment, as you can see over here. He observed that most of the particles passed straight away and some got deflected at very large angles and some were refracted from their path. That was, the ratio was very, very, very low. Then what he came to the conclusion? He gave this conclusion on the basis of the content. That is, atom is hollow from inside. There is large empty space. There is nucleus inside the atom that is carrying the charge which is equivalent to the charge of the nucleus. So very small nucleus as compared to the atom we are having. Okay, kindly take the screenshot of this content, then we'll move further. Next is the shell. Now in your chemistry foundation lectures you might have studied about the subshells S, P, D and F. This is how the electrons are arranged, and the number of electrons that can accommodate in any of the orbit, it depends on the formula, which is 2 into n square. If it is the first orbit, then it is k, l, m, n, like that. If it's k, then n is equal to 1. I hope you remember this. If it is like this: k, l, m, n. Here n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 4. Number of electrons that can come maximum is 2 into n square. So here it will be 2 into 1 square, which is 2. Here it will be 2 into 2 square, which is 8. Here it will be 2 into 3 square, which is 18. Here it will be 2 into 4 square, which is 32. In this way, the number of electrons are differing, and in this way, the number of electrons that can accommodate in any shell is given over here with the help of this formula. This is for k equal to 1, k that is n equal to 1, l that is n equal to 2, m that is n equal to 3, and n that is n equal to 4. Now let's move further on the next concept. Bohr's model's postulate. If we talk about the postulate that were given by Sir Bohr, they are like this. He stated that all the electrons are moving in the shell in a fixed particular pattern. Next, there is fixed energy of each orbit, and when the orbit is going, electron is going from orbit k to further l, m, n, the energy that it will possess will increase. There is no gain or loss of energy in the shell. Whenever the electron is moving, there is no gain or no loss. And here the important like problem that was faced by Bohr's model was, there was just one limitation. That is, if positive charge is concentrated at the center and negative is revolving around it, then why it is not happening ki negative furry and it is not going to the positive charge? Because it is having strong bonding towards it. This concept was again given by Maxwell. Electrons are jumping to higher level or lower level orbit by gaining or losing energy depending on the concept, whether they are going or they are coming. So these are the very important postulates that were given by Niels Bohr. Please note it down. And finally, this was considered as one of the important important part in the atom. We already discussed about the atomic structure. Then coming to the electronic configuration, distribution of electrons and the octet rule. If we talk about the distribution of electrons, then this is how they are distributed. First orbit there are 2, then 8, and then further it is increasing. Important here is the octet rule, that is outermost orbit should have 8 electrons. If the second orbit is having 8 electrons, then you can say that it is completely filled. The next particular thing regarding the atom over here. The fundamental particles, that is electron, proton and neutron. Here are the major important things that are given about them. The very first one is the proton. It was discovered by Sir J.J. Thomson. Sir J.J. Thomson, yet proton was discovered by Goldstein and neutron was discovered by James Chadwick. Now how was neutron discovered? He had bombarded alpha rays, and then he came to the conclusion that there is something again extra that is there in the any of the atom, and he gave the concept of the neutrons. So this is about the electron, proton and neutron. The symbols are given. Charge of the electron is negative, while that of the proton is positive and that of the neutron is neutral. Relative charge, that means in comparison the neutron is having 0 charge, proton is having +1 and electron is having -1. Consider proton and same electron is of 1837 times smaller. There is no major difference in the weight of that is mass of a proton and the neutron. There is minor difference, and this is how they are differing. The absolute mass of electron is 9.109 into 10 raised to -8 gram, while this proton that it is 1.6725 into 10 raised to -24. If it's neutron, then it is 1.6748 into 10 raised to -24 gram. Please note down this content, then just take the screenshot, then we will move further. On the next concept, that is the valency. What is valency? Valency is the number of electrons that are needed to become stable. Depending on the atomic number, you can decide how many maximum number of electrons are needed for it to become stable. Okay, if we talk about the basic things like hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. We are talking only first 10. Hydrogen atomic number 1. So it is having 1 electron in its outermost orbit. To become stable, hydrogen will need just give or to take 1 electron. So its valency is plus or minus 1. Helium, it doesn't need any kind of electron. Its atomic number is 2. So in its second orbit it is having 2 electrons. Try to do everything in your brain. I am not going to put each and everything on the board. If we come to lithium, it is having how many electrons in its outermost orbit? 3. So in the first orbit 2, in the next orbit 1. It will give 1 electron and it will become positively charged. Beryllium, it is having how many electrons in the outermost orbit? 2. So it will give 2 electrons and it will become positively charged. Boron, it is having how many electrons in its the outermost orbit? 3. So it will give 3 electrons. Carbon, a stage where it needs to either give 4 or take 4. So its valency is plus or minus 4. Nitrogen, atomic number 7, electronic configuration 2, 5. As in how I am saying, try to imagine its figure in your brain. So nitrogen is having how many electrons in its outermost orbit? It is having 5 electrons. So it needs 3 electrons. So it will take 3 electrons. Oxygen in the same way, it needs to take 2 electrons. Fluorine, that will need 1 electron, and neon, it will need 0. So in this way, depending on the number of the electrons that are present in its outermost orbit, the decision will be taken, that is whether it will give electrons or it will take electrons. That is about the valency. It is the combining capacity of any atom. This is its basic definition. And how it will combine, that will depend on the number of electrons it is possessing. If we move further on the next concept, that is the atomic number. For any atom, atomic number, that is equal to number of protons or equal to the number of electrons. आ बनने equal हो, so only atom is electrically neutral. Next, atomic mass. Now that is number of protons plus number of neutrons. Just add them, then what you will get? Atomic mass. Now many times it is happening that you get the atomic mass in points like chlorine and all that. That is because of the concept of the isotope, which will be done now. So I think this concept is clear of the atomic mass. Atomic mass is the number of protons plus neutrons. It is also called as the mass number. Please take the screenshot of this content. Then we'll move further. Hope this content is clear now. This is the next content which we are going to discuss, and this is the last zone which we are going to discuss about it. Isotope and isobar. What is the difference between now these two things? First of all, if we talk about isotope, then isotope is, the name itself suggests it is having two things. Isotope, that means the name itself is suggesting iso means same and tope means place. So if it is at the same place in the table, it is at the same place in the periodic table. Okay, so any atom that is having like you can say it is at the same place in the periodic table, then still the mass is different. That is, atomic number is same but atomic mass is different. Then in that case the thing that comes is the isotopes. Isobar, it is opposite of it. Those things that are having same atomic mass but different atomic number, they are called as isobars. So this is about the isotones and isobars. If we talk about isotopes, then its basic characteristics are like this. It is having different physical properties but same chemical properties. Now why it is like that the physical properties are different? Because of different uh, atomic mass. Atomic mass is different, so its number of neutrons that it will contain is different. The very common example of it is the protium, deuterium and the tritium, the three isotopes of hydrogen. These are the three ones: protium 1H, deuterium 2,1H, tritium 3,1H. Okay, so if you talk about isotope, then these are the things that are having different physical properties, but the chemical properties are the same. If we talk further about the isotopes, then most of the times they are having the fractional atomic mass, like the chlorine is having 35.5 and the copper is having 63.5. If we come to its applications, then its applications are over here. This is as per the NCERT textbook, which you have to remember. In the agriculture, it is used to find out the traces that are used for plant nutrition. If we talk about industries, then the cracks in the middle, metal casting, whenever the casting of the metal is done, and when if at all there is any kind of crack, then we can use the isotopes to make it proper. If we talk about medicine way, then the isotope of iodine is used for the treatment of thyroid, and the cobalt is used for the treatment of cancer. The next is the carbon dating method. In the carbon dating method, what is done is the age of any of the material, that is any of the material that is containing carbon, it can be we can predict its age, atla varus juno or something like that. The next one is the reaction mechanism, that is the esterification reaction. Esterification, I think you might have studied in the class 10 about how the esters are formed, the sweet, that is when the alcohol and the acid, when they are reacting, the esters are formed, and that is over there what we are using is the isotopes. So these are the basic applications of isotopes. The next thing is isobars. If we talk about isobars, then the example of isobars are the example of isobars are calcium and argon. Both calcium and argon, they are having different atomic number, but the atomic mass is same. Yes, because the atomic mass is same, so we can say that they are isobars of each other. This is just one very small simple example. We can take other examples too. Okay, and how to calculate the atomic mass of any of the isotope? Then in that case they will give you the percentage. So this is the general way to calculate the mass, total atomic mass. Suppose X percentage of any isotope is there, say A, and another Y percentage of the same isotope A, the atom will be same but the isotope will be different. Then the average atomic mass will be X% of A plus y percentage of B plus z percent of C. Okay, and divide it. If it is 3, then you have to do the according division, and you have to calculate, like in chlorine we had done. Next comes isotones. What are isotones now? Isotones are those compounds which are having same number of neutrons, but the atomic number and the atomic mass is different. Now how is that possible? Yes, it's possible. Let us take the example. We will take the example: carbon, nitrogen and oxygen. We are taking 3 examples. Now how many number of atomic number, if we will write, then we will come to know about its number of protons and number of electrons. Atomic mass, and the number of neutrons. Atomic number, it's 8. Atomic mass is 16. If you subtract, what will you get? 8. Atomic number over here is 7. Atomic mass is 15. If 15 minus 7 you are doing, what will you get? 8. Here atomic number is 6. Atomic mass is 14. Again, if you subtract, what will you get? 8. So this is how you get the number of neutrons same, but the atomic number, atomic mass, all these things are different. So this is what is isotones. Okay, take the screenshot of this, then we'll move further. I hope you have taken the screenshot. Now this is the complete memory map of it. Complete memory map of atom. Only this much. One by one, let's see what we started with. We started with this basic thing, that is about the atomic structure, how it is containing nucleus. Inside the nucleus you are having the protons and the neutrons, and outside the the nucleus, the electrons are constantly rotating. Then we discussed about the 3 models, that is the Thomson's model, Rutherford's model and the Bohr's model. If we talk about the Thomson's model, then in the Thomson's model, it is the watermelon model or the plum pudding model, in which electrons and protons are residing together, and these things couldn't be digested, and so the concept of the Rutherford's model came. Rutherford, what he did, he took a very thin gold foil and he imparted alpha rays on it. What he saw was most of the alpha particles passed straight away and very few deflected. But this gave the conclusion the space inside the atom is totally empty. The next thing was the defects of the Rutherford's model. If we talk about the defects of the Rutherford's model, then he stated that the electrons are rotating, and the electrons, after rotating, they will quickly mingle up with the proton. The next thing is the shells. You already know about the subshells S, P, D and F, and the orbitals. Now these days you might have studied. The next thing is the Bohr's model. His postulates, he stated that the electrons are revolving in the shells and they are having fixed energy of each orbit that is increasing from K to N, that is as in how the number of electrons are changing. K, L, M, N, the number of electrons is following the N square, 2, 8, 18, maximum number of electrons which it can have. Further, we discussed about the next thing, that is this. This is the content which you have to memorize. आपको याद ही रखना है. Okay, there is no option for it. Charge is also important. That is 1.6 into minus 19. If it is electron, then it will be negative. If it is proton, then it will be positive. So this is the content which you have to memorize. Please do not forget to learn this, and so only I am giving you 30 seconds to just read the complete entire table. In 30 seconds you have to read the entire table once again. Read it quick. The next concept that we discussed was about valency. Valency is the combining capacity of any atom. Any atom, how it is combining, it is depending on its valencies, that is the number of electrons are present in its outermost orbit. They will decide whether it will become positively charged ion or negatively charged ion, and accordingly everything will happen. The next is the mass number, that is the atomic mass, which is the sum of the protons and the neutrons that are present in any atom. Further, you are having the atomic number. Atomic number is equal to the number of protons or also equal to the number of electrons. After this, we discussed about this last concept, electronic configuration. This is the second last concept that we discussed. How is the electronic configuration? It is KLMN. One by one the orbits will be filled, and the outermost orbit is containing 8 electrons in its and that is called as the octet rule, and the atoms will try to achieve the octet. The next and the last part over here is about the isotopes, isobars and the isotones. If we talk about isotopes, then these are the things that are having same atomic number but different atomic mass. Okay, the characteristics are over here. It is having different physical properties, but the chemical properties are same. Its atomic mass is most of the time coming in fraction, for example chlorine and copper. If we talk about its application, then these are its applications that we have discussed in the field of agriculture, industry, medicine, in carbon dating, as well as in the reaction mechanism. Esterification reaction, it is the reaction in which alcohol and acid are mixed and ester is produced. What is ester? It is a sweet smelling compound. मैं धीरे धीरे रिपीट कर रही हूँ अगर आपको ये टॉपिक नहीं चला हो तो. एस्टरिफिकेशन मतलब एस्टर्स बनते हैं, दैट इज एसिड्स एंड अल्कोहल्स. जब वो कंबाइन होते हैं तब एस्टर बनते हैं, एंड दीज आर स्वीट स्मेलिंग कंपाउंड्स. What are these sweet smelling compounds like perfumes? Okay, again this basic isotopes of the hydrogen it is given क्योंकि ये बड़े फेमस है. हर बार एग्जाम्पल देना हो तो हर बार हम भी ये यूज़ करते हैं, प्रोटियम, ड्यूटेरियम एंड ट्रीटियम. ओके, सो लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हेन इट कम्स टू वेफर्स यू थिंक अबाउट लेज और बालाजी. क्यों? बड़े फेमस है, हर जगह वही चल रहे हैं. इफ वी टॉक अबाउट गुजरात, सो दिस इज अबाउट the isotopes. These are the common examples. Keep this in the brain about isotopes. Take the screenshot. The next last two contents that are remaining over here is isobars and isotones. Isobars having different atomic number but same atomic mass, as we discussed about the calcium and the argon. Isotones, these are the ones that are having same number of neutrons. Atomic number, atomic mass, both are different, yet the number of neutrons are same in both. So this is about the complete entire lesson number 4. Just one, this much. Have a look at it. So I hope you are clear with the content of the lesson, and that's all for today. Thank you for listening to me, and have a very good day. Bye bye.